Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the Takara Brave Gaon, and here he is, and I absolutely love this guy. You can see here is Gaon, and here's his little, bird chest plate guy. I just have him on this, just have him on the Bandai Damachi Nations Act 5 stand with the claw, and since he's off, let's look at him really quick and then put him off to the side. So here he is, and obviously we'll see all this detail when we transform him. But here he is, this little bird. I really love it. The only thing I wish is that he had sort of like a place to better set. Like you can kind of put him right like that, but you can't really put him anywhere on Gaon when he is in his lion mode. But overall, I still really like it. Love the little bird head. The wings can articulate. They really fold forward for the I think the GX Buster, I think, that mode, when him and Dagarn X combine into Great Dagarn GX. I think that's what they do. That's why they go forward. But you do get a little bit of articulation, and you can see that there's that little nub there, and you get a little bit of ratcheting movement. But really, it's not too much. There are his little feet, and these can go out, but that's more to due to transformation, and his head can go down, but once again, that's more to due to transformation. But yeah, I like that he's included, but he is a little annoying just that he doesn't go anywhere, but it's okay. He's still really fun. But let's put him off to the side so we can look at Gaon himself. So here he is, and obviously he is fairly Victory Leo-esque. Obviously he's different because he goes for a bit of a different design. Obviously he doesn't have the enormous guns all over him like Victory Leo, but he does have these 4 big missile pods, which is very, very cool. And then you can take his G cannon, which is this one, and plug it onto the side, and his G Vulcan and plug it onto the side, and they're not specific. You can flip-flop them. They can go on either side. And then you have his tail back here, and this is just a parts forming piece, which, whatever. And due to that, it can wag a little bit because you do get some, there's a gap between there, so you can get a little bit of posability out of that if you want to. But, since the legs don't do anything, it's not really going to do too much. But if you want to, you can. The legs do fold forward for the back legs, and the front legs do bend back. And then I guess you could count this hinge joint as something, but not really. And then what is a little unfortunate is that because the face is revealed from the mouth, you can't really open his mouth without revealing the face. That's the closest you're going to get, is just a mild open. But no matter what, I really love this design. It just looks like a block that has a lion face on it and legs. It's not trying to be anything weird, or it's not trying to be super accurate to something or be hyper specific to a lion. It's just trying to be a lion looking thing. And I love the green gems in the lion eyes, and then the nice gold chrome on the mane. It just looks super incredible. I really like the look of this lion mode. And you can, like I said, you can definitely see where the inspiration came from. Takara definitely got inspiration of this guy from their earlier lion robot companion toy, Victory Leo. We'll take these guns off here really quick, just because we'll need to. And before we get into the transformation, he does have one gimmick. The reason why he doesn't have a super lot of articulation in the legs is because he has a motorized feature. You will come down here to this switch, and I absolutely love that they have a sticker that mirrors and has an arrow on it. It doesn't say off and on, as you can see, but I just love that they tried to basically hide that this is an on and off switch that is just sculpted in detail, and helped it out with these stickers. I absolutely love that. I love that as a feature. But you just come down here and you will turn that on, and now he will walk. There it's going. And I absolutely love that. I love, as you guys know, I love Omega Supreme. I do not own Skylinks or Trypticon, but once again, those are just awesome toys in general. And this is, I absolutely love motorized gimmicks. Like, they're super duper fun, and this guy is no exception. Just seeing him, just seeing him walk is just super, super cool. Really, really fun. Obviously, that hurts his articulation, but I highly doubt he would have had really any articulation in his legs to begin with. It probably would have just been like a ratcheted swivel. So, really, I would take the walking gimmick, because it's a walking gimmick. How many toys in general have a walking gimmick? And some of the greatest toys in G1 have a walking gimmick. So that's why I love it. But that's really all the Lion can do. Obviously, that is quite a bit, but he doesn't have like firing missiles like Victory Leo. He doesn't have anything like that. He just has the walking gimmick, but he does look really good doing it. But let's just jump straight into the transformation. So obviously, we're going to have to take the tail off, but what do you expect with that? So there are two ways you can do this. Typically, you're supposed to take these big yellow leg pieces off, but you can leave them on, and I'll show you both ways. So first things first, you'll just have to flip up all of the legs like so, and then you will take this off. But if you're careful, you can just undo the top, like that. Well, if you're a little bit more careful than me, and then that will just fall. And we'll do this side just because it'll be easier. So you'll flip this up just to get it partially the way there. And then you'll bring it down the rest of the way, and then it will fully seat inside of the leg. And then you'll swivel this down. And then you need to watch that yellow peg right there. So you'll just flex that out a tiny bit, and just get it up and over, and then all that. It should, if you do it all correctly, you should just be able to flex that out, swing the leg forward, and tab everything together. Obviously, I didn't do it that well, but you can do it that way. You do not have to parts form them, but it is a little bit more of a hassle, if you will. But just do the same thing on this leg, and then flip down the toe, and then you do the same thing over here with that. So there are the legs all done. I love how the legs work, how they form that big backpack of the lion, and then they fold down to form the legs. I just like how they do that. And then you just bend the arms a little bit because they won't clear the legs, and then you just swing them forward like so. And now, to raise the camera a tiny bit more, and now you come up to the head, and we'll leave the face for dramatic reveal. And for the bird, you just fold down the legs, you flip up the head, and then you bend the wings like that. And then that little clip will go over this little tab, and then the bird head will sit in that cavity. Oops. And there is that. So now you can come up here and flip down the face, and just the camera a little bit. Just get it so we can see him nice and good. And there he is. And this is an awesome robot design. In this mode, he doesn't really look similar to Victory Leo at all. And this is where I like it, is that I love how they pull off the way the mane works better. Victory Leo does it really good. He's really cool, but I love how they do his head and his head design. And just his design in general, he looks incredible. Like the little claw pieces on his wrists, the colors and everything, the little bit of silver in his midriff poking through, just looks incredible. And then the big gem in the center with the gold chrome from the bird. I will say mine is missing some stickers because the whole shoulder would be like black and red. So it's missing those stickers, and these leg stripes, whatever, should be the same like color of red with a black border as the front legs, but mine is missing those, unfortunately. But it's not that big a deal. You can't really tell, especially since like this plastic, I don't know if it's yellowed necessarily, but it's a darker shade than the bird. So there's still that contrast, which I still like. But it would have been better if I had those stickers there. But it's okay. And obviously, if you could probably already tell, this toy is like almost all toys that were around this era of the late 80s, early 90s. That's all he can do for articulation. I guess you could make him look up with that transformation joint, but really, he just has a elbow. And it is ratcheted, but it's just an elbow. But you can bring in the guns, and they can go into his hands. I'm going to tell you something about this gun. But for the G Cannon, the G Cannon, he is missing a little extra fin thing right here. That's why this little orange bit is exposed, but there would be a piece right there. I don't know where it went. That's how I got it. And just to say how I got him was I bought the bird separately, and then I bought him with all of his accessories all together. So the bird did not come with Gaon himself, and I bought the bird. So this guy came around, I think, $120 when it was all said and done, which is really good for this toy. He not retails. He is around, I think, $200 to $300, like most of the bigger Brave toys, which is a lot for this guy. But I don't know. You make your own choice. I kind of would pay that, but nevertheless, that's how much I got this guy for. And then the tail, obviously, you can hold it as a whip, because it will fit in his hand. He doesn't use it as a weapon in the show, but he can use it. I think, like Victor Leo, he uses his in the show, but nevertheless, obviously, he's not Victor Leo. But what I like to do is I like to go to this port back here, which will be important for Great Dagaran GX, which I don't have a Dagaran X, so that'll be a little while, but that will be important for that. But I always like to do that because it's just a tight enough fit to where it can like hang itself, and then I don't have to worry about just leaving the tail somewhere. That's what I like to do to solve the problem of like weapon storage, more like part storage. But that's like what I like to do because there's no other port or like hook or anything that you can kind of fake that, because that screw port right there, that round hole, that is where the tail used to go in his lion mode. So obviously you cannot access that to store it. But that's what I like to do. Obviously it'll fall off, but that's the solution that I have found for it. So just like all those other toys, Omega Supreme, Trypticon, and Skylynx, the motorized gimmick isn't just for his alt mode. He can also utilize it in his robot mode. So you see these little plus sign looking things. You can raise up his arms. This one's going to be a little bit tricky because it'll want to kind of fight it. But we'll go up inside of his arms, and now you turn him on. And the G Cannon will reciprocate in and out, and the G Vulcan will just rotate. And I think that is super, super cool. I love that look, especially for what Gaon gets up to in the show. I really, really love that they incorporated that into the robot, into the toy. I just think that's really, really cool. That he can actually shoot his guns, that the G Vulcan rotates and the G Cannon can actually go in and out. I don't think it actually goes in and out in the show, but it's still really cool to see that happen. Obviously the G Buster or the GX Buster, which is these two guns combined, obviously that power would be able to transmit through both of them, but because I am missing that little back cap for the G Cannon, I actually cannot combine these two, which is very unfortunate. And I can just show you, because the G Vulcan goes into the G Cannon to form the GX Buster, or the G Buster. When he is using it in that one scene, in that one episode, is the G Buster, but obviously when they combine into Great Dagaran GX, it's the GX Buster. But obviously without that back cap that would go over like the muzzle of the G Vulcan, it would actually peg in and stay solid, but because it's not there, it's just that loose connection of those little like plus signs, which is a little disappointing that I really won't be able to do that unless I either buy another Gaon or I can find another G Cannon. But ultimately, to me, for how much I love this character, how much I love this toy, he'll probably stay alone 90% of the time when I get a Dagaran GX, because he's such a cool design, just a cool design, because really he doesn't do anything other than the motorized gimmick and his elbows. He doesn't really do anything, which is a little unfortunate, especially considering his price. Like when you look at toys that are more like toys from the Brave series that are more expensive, like Power Dagwan, a Fire Dagwan, and like even J Decker, is that you can see where you're kind of spending your money. They have a little bit of articulation, they have gimmicks, and they have things like that. Really, he doesn't have very much of that. The motorized gimmick really carries him in that aspect when it comes to seeing your value of what you're paying for him. For me and people that love the design, love the character, I would say it's easily 200, 250. I wouldn't spend 300 on him. I wouldn't spend 300 on much. But ultimately, I would personally pay for this guy again for a little bit, a little bit more expensive. But if you don't have any attachment to this design or the character, he would be an easy skip unless you have Dagaran X, because I haven't done a Great Dagaran GX, but from the pictures I've seen and the videos I've seen, it is a spectacle to look at. So if you're getting this guy, like typically you would these like secondary, like supplemental combining figures or toys, obviously that's different. Highly recommend him, but I would highly recommend him in general. But nevertheless, it's kind of hard to recommend him for his price and what little he does. But overall, I enjoy him, and I personally really, really like him. And that's what I have to say. So till next time, see ya.